children of single mothers, there is a father, but there is a wrong notion that these children belong to single mothers. There is no child who doesn't have a father. These children are denied going to school because the father is not there. These children are denied basic necessities because the mother, either one, in a misconceived idea, she thinks that it was a mistake to conceive, and she walked away, came back. These children, are they provided for? Can a child born outside marriage in Nyamira, Migori, Kisii, Nairobi, or longer? Because this transmission is live for the whole world to see. Yes, those children are protected. Article 150, Article 53 of the Constitution, it provides that a child, whether a child was a father and a mother, and needs protection of it, needs the services to be provided. The third group of children that are very special to the law are children in conflict with the law. Recently, we saw some Somali children who are below 18 years. So the definition of a child is found in Article 260, which says any person below the ages of 18, that is a child. That definition is not complete. It goes further to say, if that child is still in school and that child is in form, that child is first year university, the law will extend that to 18 years to allow that child go to school, to be paid for university, or to be taken for medication. So those children, the Somali children who were arrested, are treated differently. The law provides that you cannot jail a child, you cannot take a child to prison, you can only, after you make a finding that this child is guilty, because children are not convicted, the child will be taken to a government rehabilitation center for a duration that will not exceed 3 years. The child can be taken to a children's home. The policy of the government is to abolish children's home so that the children grow up with their parents, because even if it's an orphan, even if it's somebody who is not their parents' life. So these children are very, very critical in our case. Those are the children in conflict with the law. Special courts have been created to deal with these children, called the Children's Court. This Children's Court will hear matters of children in conflict with the law. Remember, they are not criminals. There is no child who is identified as a criminal. The children in conflict with the law, they are treated differently. Then there is a group of children we call children in need of care and protection. This is a special group of children found everywhere in this country. These are children who are denied to go to school. These are children who have been denied, who have been taken to be circumcised, and female genital mutilation. These are special category of children in such a situation. Children in marriages where father and mother fight, they have turned their house into a bedroom. And these children are seeing this violence. These children need care and protection. The children on the streets of Kisii, Migori, Homa Bay, Nyamira, Nyabite, or anywhere, they are classified as children in need of care and protection. They have not committed any crime. These are children to be removed from the streets and be taken to a place of safety and be dealt with as children who need care and protection. There are very many in the regions of Wuhan, and there are more in the area. Another classification of children are now the children who find themselves, they have done something the law looks at a very bad angle. A child who was killed, a child who was attempted to commit suicide, a child who has either defiled another child or raped another. So the law looks at it in that angle that these are special children to be dealt with. The other group of children found and which the law identified is when a child and another child get married. A child and another child commit a sexual action. A child with another child doing those things. What does the law look at? The law looks at these children that the only way to punish these children is to try to guide them and rehabilitate them. The biggest concept in children in conflict with the law is to rehabilitate them within the family. It is not to remove them, because originally children could be committed to a children's home until they are 18. They grow there. You walk to a children's home and you find that there are adults there working for Safaricom to go, and they don't know where their home is. They don't have any relative. Their home is a children's home. So the policy has changed that. In our place, we have children whose parents died. Homa Bay, Busia, all over, there are burials on Saturday. In Yamira and Kisi, there are burials on Friday. Some of the people being buried are single mothers. Some of the people being buried are fathers. These children are called orphans, either partial or full orphans. How do we deal with these children? Traditionally, there are methods to deal with these children. You'll hear the wazee say, or the uncle say, Omari, you take care of this child. That is what you call foster care. That is one way to make that child have a parent, either foster, an auntie who under foster care, the Director of Children's Services and his team will deal with that. Two, if this child, Omari is a guardian, he wants to provide food, he wants to put this child into a medical scheme called SHA and others, that person will make an application to court simply for an order for guardianship, so that you have a legal authority to have this child stay with you. Then we have these children. How does government assist these orphans and vulnerable children? The Director of Children's Services and has programs for the orphans and vulnerable children cash transfer programs. This is where those who are taking care of these children are given a certain amount of money monthly or after 2 months, depending on changes of policy of government as it is, they are given to educate these children under that OVC program. Remember, these are funds to make sure that children get their basic rights and these children are not dehumanized, their dignity is brought and respected. We look at these children also from a different angle. Suppose there is nobody among the relatives who wants to take up these children. On Friday, you will hear people saying, who is going to take care of this orphan? If there is nobody in the family, or if there's somebody in the family, and that child wants to be adopted, the procedure is simple. There is what we call kinship adoption, where members of the family, you take up these children of your aunt, these children of your sister, these children of your late brother, you do a kinship adoption. The procedure is so easy because the only thing that needs to be proved is that you are a relative, you are not taking this kid for any purpose. Two, this kid can still be adopted. The procedures for adoption, you take that kid to that kid will be found, born, thrown down at Homa Bay, thrown on the streets of Nyamira town. That kid, in the morning, you wake up and find as a good Rotarian that child. What do? You take that child and report to the office of the children's office, or you call the area sub-chief or chief and tell him, I've come as a good Rotarian, I have found this child. Don't take that child, say that is your child. You might be arrested and be charged for the offense of child trafficking or selling of children. So once that child has been the report has been reported to the police or to whoever, that child can be placed by the children officer to you or to any other person or to a children. The process takes its process. That child is declared that that child is free to be adopted. Then those who want to adopt, there is a process to be done. Remember where you have come from, many of the children were either bought in courts. There was no court process. There was no involvement of the directors of children's services. These things were, somebody went and gave land or somebody gave a bag of Wimby and has that child. There is a procedure to do that, and you need to advise everybody that there is a procedure provided for by the law on how to make that child legally to be you. That is adoption. That is dealt with how to adopt and everything. And remember, in adoption, people don't understand that adoption is not buying a child. Once the High Court has given you that child, the High Court becomes a maternity ward. A child is being born at Nairobi Hospital. Children are being born at Kisii Level 6. Now we have a child being born to you at Kisii High Court. That judge becomes the midwife. That judge gives you now that child. You can never, when this child becomes a thief, when this child becomes a robber, when this child becomes a problem, you cannot return that child to the judge and say, you gave me this child. I don't want this child. That child that child was born by you. There is a birth certificate. That child will inherit your property. You cannot take that child to a supermarket and return that child. Those are the consequences of doing that. What is the law on children who are not being provided by their fathers, by their mothers? The law now is that sin. Everybody has a duty to maintain their child on equal basis. I know you'll have a problem where every single mother is telling you, we have nothing to give to this child. That mother knew that she was going to conceive. She has to go to the shamba. She has to go and wash clothes. She must contribute. So as a mother, just leave and go. The question the court will be looking at is what is the best interest of the child. Mother, just leave and go. The question the court will be looking at is what is the best interest of the child. Some mothers can be declared unfit to be, some mothers can be declared to be unfit to be a mother, and therefore a father who is fit will be given custody and the mother will walk away. But another issue, when the parents have died, and this is mostly when the mother dies, then you get the mother-in-law saying that my son-in-law cannot take this child. The transmission after the death of a mother, the first person to have that child being taken to custody is the biological father, whether they were married or not married. So that is why the Director Children's Services, that is why the courts will ensure that even if these people are not being together, they will bring a concept called co-parenting. Because there's no father, there's no mother, there's no parent who is superior than the other. And that is why the courts and the Director Children's Service will tell you that when the children close school, a father will have half of the time, a mother will have half of the time. Many of the issues that are coming, which are very critical, is that, but Omari has married. The law does not see a married woman. The law sees a stepmother. The law sees as that is how the issues. Lastly, to bring into closure on my submission is that it is our responsibility as Rotarians to educate and empower the parents on their roles over their children. As Rotarians, we have a very fundamental and critical role to protect those children who cannot protect themselves. Protection can be just telling someone. As lawyers, my colleague have had this one wakili there. We provide pro bono services. The law now has provided for children who are in conflict with the law will be represented by lawyers, just like the suspects of murder who are given who are given lawyers by the state. So the children who are involved in the conflict of murder, not as murderers, that is the position. So as Rotarians, my prayer, and the reason as to why we decided to put this live on Court Helicopter is to reach as many people and tell them that children are critical, they are so critical for the development of any country. A country that does not take care of its children, a family that does not take care of its children, a parent who does not take care of his or her children, that is not a person. That is a country that has lost its sense of direction. Allow me, I'll terminate there and open up for questions. Allow me, I'll terminate there and open up for questions. My brother Rotarian Ken, can you read the question so that I respond? I'm not near the lab. I'm getting, just read the question first. We are pressured with time. I've already captured that. The law does not allow singles to adopt. Thank you, Brenda. Okay, let me answer that one. Abuse between a marriage is the law assumes it will be there. But the children are different. One, the father is a father whether he's an abuser of the mother. If the abuse is in front of the abuse is in front of the children, what is called corrupting the minds of this child, the father will be given what is called access, but structured. Structured access is that the father can see this child under the supervision of the Director of Children's Services, in the presence of the mother, in the presence of a nanny, in the presence of a police officer. So the law does not really remove one who is biological of the mother. The grandparent who has brought up these children, if she wants to be given those children to take care of, she can move to court and produce evidence that the father is a danger to the children. So those are issues that are factual, to be evidence to be produced in court. The courts know very well that once people who are calling themselves sweet lovers, later they became husband and wife, or sweet lovers, and later they became a mother and a father, when they differ, 90% of the stories they say are lies. Mother 90% will give a story lying about the father. The father will also give 90% stories lying about the former lady. So the courts are very clear to separate their personal problems and look at the center of the child. Most of the time, children's stories are the opposite of what the reality is. Courts and the Director of Children's Services focus on these children. Thank you. Yes, sir. Consent, yes. That is the story of the grandmother that, as I've said, is sometimes given to you without you knowing the other side of the story. She can go to court to seek for adoption. The law allows, if there is sufficient evidence that the consent is going to hurt the interest of the child, the court will waive the consent of that child. It's a similar situation where a child wants to go to study in the US, the consent of the father is required. Then it is withheld. The court has the power to look at what is the best interest of the child. Is the child going to study into the best interest of this child, or the father's consent? The selfish consent will be overlooked by the court. So the only way she can prove what she said is she goes to court, produces evidence, the man will be served, he will come and give his side of the story. The court will look at what is the best interest of Yes, panel. I'm hearing you, Grace. A court, a children's court, people sit there, called children magistrates, undergo a special training to understand children of all categories. They are gazetted by the Chief Justice because they have undergone that training. A children's court is governed by the law of evidence. The law of evidence in a children's matter, if that child cannot, before the child starts to give evidence, there's what they call the voir dire test. They test whether this child understands what has brought that child to court. The law allows that child not to talk. The law allows intermediaries, that the mother of that child can testify on that child's behalf. A teacher can testify on behalf of that child. A pastor can testify on that child. Rotarians like you can walk to court and give evidence about this child. And the law rated. If a child says, this is the man who did this to me, that child will be convicted. Children cannot lie like Omari. Children cannot lie like other people. The law sees the children that they will tell the truth, and that is why when a child is told, go and say this thing, then you ask them, who told you? Says, Mami ndiye aliniambia, because they are innocent and the law protects them. So don't worry. The Law Society of Kenya, the advocates are there to deal with those matters. Whenever that, and that's what I've said, whenever a children's matter is arising, lawyers, we are 27,000 advocates. We will take up the matter to defend these children. We will have to speak on their behalf. The teachers, the Rotarians, and even the courts. In a children's court, it is not, the advocates come there. You're trying to argue, you are told, hold on, Wakili. Let us hear what the child is saying. The magistrate is the one asking. Some questions an advocate, you are told, no, this is a child, you cannot ask that way. So the courts have, and the children officer must be present anytime a child is in court. The law, you've seen what happened to the Somalis. The moment they came, before they were read, the matter was referred to the Director of Children's Services to study this child, bring the report to court. The court will respond. Officer. Thank you. Thank you.
I will. I'm not able to get the pay bill. I'll talk to the president. I will send $200 as my support for the Rotary. Shillings support work.